If you get infuriated by puzzle games like I do, just saying that, Chief. Just saying that. How I'm gonna do this is I'm gonna go by the bad points and I'm gonna go by the good points. I know that a lot of Resident Evil veterans are gonna love this, but I'm sorry if you enjoyed this as a kid or whenever. I'm not gonna take mercy on this game. Like just because it was hyped up or just because it's a classic for fans, it doesn't mean I'm gonna be taking mercy on it. First, let's go over what's good about the game. The game takes place of either Leon S. Kennedy or Claire Redfield, Chris Redfield's younger brother from Resident Evil 5. Leon's story is that you were a rookie cop called into duty. Claire Redfield's case is that you were searching for your older brother in the incident of Raccoon City, or at least when the virus first took place. In my opinion, Claire is a little more satisfying to play as because you get that six shooter and it's just you get that revolver and it's just amazing to play as. Now, the good point is the characters. Me personally, I was hoping to see some Nemesis in this game. I didn't get that. I was I was very disappointed. The whole time I was just waiting for Nemesis, but my slow behind forgot that there is no Nemesis in Resident Evil 2. The horror of the horror game is good. Like most of the time you're just kept on your feet. You're in constantly dark rooms, you're constantly in dark areas, hearing zombies around the corner or monsters crawling along the walls. Like you don't know what could happen next. The game definitely keeps you on your toes with the anxiety and the tension. That it does that amazingly. Like this is a true horror game. I've been looking for a good horror game that's not just running away all the time for a good while now, and Resident Evil 2 did deliver on its horror. Problem is everything else with the game. Puzzles that are so vague that you just downright feel like a moron when you figure out the solution. Puzzles are extremely given they're extremely vague. You're given little to no detail on what you're supposed to do or where are you supposed to find these objects. For example, the only puzzle that you are honestly assisted with is the very first one, which is in the demo. That one, you know what to do. You have to find the three statues, you have to put in three symbols, whatever. Okay, that is about the only one you receive help with. One of them you have to go. One of the very last statue is a puzzle where you have to find stuff to make the C4. Where you have to make a detonator for a C4. You were not told. I understand that there's no hand holding, but at least say search the first floor or second floor. You can't have an entire mansion, one puzzle, and say one thing. Just say you can't say go get this one item. You can't say you have to get this one item and then you have to go freaking to Japan, then to Mexico, then to China, then all over the place just to get these objects because they all correlate to each other because that's how the puzzles work. One item leads to another, one item leads to another. It's a domino effect, and it's explained extremely poorly that that's how it works. Of course, I know this because I eventually caught on. Unless you play on assistant mode, which I did not do that. I wanted to play on normal or I don't remember. No, I played on normal. I'm back. Ammunition along with sub-weapons, and sub-weapons are grenades, flashbangs, or knives, military knives. These are extremely hard to find. These are extremely scarce, and instead of, to me personally, it does give off a survivalist effect, but most of the time, 99% of the time, you're going to be put into an unfair circumstance. You're going to be put into an unfair fight with unfair circumstances. You're going to have to take on 4 enemies with about 10 bullets, and that is not an exaggeration. That downgrades the game. That leads to players dying more and doing tedious stuff even more so. Saving is important in the game, especially if you play on hardcore mode, where you can only save if you find these items called ink ribbons. Scarce ammunition and scarce weapons, of course, are meant to give off a survivalistic effect, but to me it just backfires and it just leads to unfairness and unfair circumstances 99% of the time. Puzzles are extremely vaguely explained if there's little to no explanation what's going on. Now there's a difference between explanation and hand holding. Hand holding is where they're guiding you every single step of the way. Explanation is you're being pointed in the right direction. You're not being pointed in the right direction. You're just given one single objective, which is vaguely explained with little to no detail, and it's up to you, the player, to find out the rest. I don't think I have to say that 99% of the time. I like about 75% of the time I had to look up what to do because I was just completely stumped. Now, enemies. Most enemies, which are basically these plant monsters and lickers, which can do a lot of damage, especially if you're playing on the harder modes, can basically kill you with just one shot. And if they grab you, then that's it, lights out. But what's a little absurd and unfair is that their grab range is a little ridiculously big. Literally, not to exaggerate, I've literally been grabbed from halfway across the room by a monster and one-shot it and had to go through a big segment just because of it. Out of a grab if you have a sub-weapon, which are the smaller weapons. And I've already stated before that those are extremely hard to find. Well, there are some spots where there will be a few of them, but they're mostly used for a boss fight or so. The voice acting at times could use a little bit of work, like the characters are a little too nonchalant in certain situations. The ending of the game is gone about a very abrupt way. Like the ending just like literally right after the boss fight, the ending is just there. Like the game just ends. It was a little abrupt and could have been explained more. What other good things can I say? What other good things can I say? The enemies and bosses, the, the bosses are really freaking cool, I gotta admit. You got Mr. X, you have William Birkins, especially when he mutates, oh my god, it's amazing. But, let's see. Do I think this game is worth $60 when 60% of the time you have to run around Googling what to do because the game doesn't explain? Or is it worth 60 because 40% of the time you're facing cool freaking monsters and you're blowing zombies' heads off with amazing graphics and amazing storytelling? Do I do I think this game is worth $60? Not really. This game is a great game and should be played by all those who call themselves pure-blooded gamers. Of course I do. Out of 10, I, God Eater Wiccan, give Resident Evil 2 a solid a solid probably a solid 7.5. It's a good and a 7.5 is very good. It's a good quality game, but just elements of the game just make it frustrating and a chore to play at times. I'm Wiccan Universe and goodbye.